Thank you for joining me. If you're unfamiliar with who I am, my name is Lesley Pazdzioch. I am the founder of Inspiring Creative Insight, and I'm so glad that you joined me tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about to-do lists, and we're going to look what to do now, what to do later. We're going to look at that, but I'd like to also add that over the next 8 weeks, I have put together some really powerful PDF handout, and over the next 8 weeks, we're going to be talking about just creating balance in our lives and how we can do that more effectively. And I wanted to start off tonight with creating lists. Obviously, we need lists that incorporate in every aspect of our lives, whether it's work, whether it's home, our sporting events, community events that we get involved in. We all need to have a list to keep us organized, much like our goals that we set in our life to keep us moving forward. Now, these lists are really important, and some of them can be rather taxing, and sometimes we just write vague things and we didn't realize it would take so much time. And tonight I want to, as I go through these things, hopefully the information that I give you will help you see an easier, more efficient way to create your lists, as well not put so much on your plate that you feel overwhelmed, and that you feel your sense of accomplishment while you're moving forward in life. Excuse me. So I can't very well see. So I'm going to start off by talking about this certain list. So when we create these lists, or even we can create an outline, sometimes it not only does it help us stay on track, but it helps us organize our tasks in each area of our lives. And they can be more efficient by writing out more than just one list at a time. For instance, writing out a bunch of to-do lists forces us to set some really concrete goals. And what I mean by writing out several lists, it doesn't mean a task for here and a task for there, home or office or whatever. We can combine all these. But what I'm saying is, by creating these multiple lists types, it helps us to break down things much easier, and it also creates the time space that we need in order to get what we need to get done and feel productive. Sometimes if I don't create these lists, I at the end of the day I think, gosh, what did I do all day? I know I was busy all day, but I really don't know what it was that I did. And by creating these lists, it also helps us know exactly what we did. By keeping, we can go to our list and say, oh, well, this is what I did today, and we check these things off. And if we don't, accomplish a certain task, complete it one day, then we always just feel overwhelmed, and we push ourselves. But hopefully tonight with this method, you will be able to create lists that have balance in them, so that at the end of the day, you can feel a sense of accomplishment, and the next day you can feel more energized and excited to continue on your goal setting and getting things done in your life. So writing out a bunch of to-do lists, it pretty much forces us to create these goals, and they can be incredibly more effective than just having vague objectives in our lives, right? And it will also help us remember the important information that we need to have in order to accomplish our stuff. It's like when we go to the grocery store, we have a grocery list, and if we don't have that grocery list with specific items, then we just kind of walk through the grocery store and probably spend more money than we should. And if we're hungry, we spend way more money than we should and buy things that we don't really understand when we get home. It also it'll help us remember the important information, like the groceries, or we have to make a phone call, so we can remind us to have the car done, and we have a meeting. We have to call and double check our schedules. Is our client still going to meet with us? call the plumbers. We have just many things we have to do, and that helps us to take care of that. Now lists come in all different shapes and sizes, and we can do it digitally on our electronic devices such as our phone and our computers. The most effective method, and I've done some research, but the most effective to-do lists are actually handwritten, and they're placed strategically um, around to remind us of these lists that we have of things that we want to accomplish. And when we start to create these lists, we need to remember there's a certain order that we need to create them. And so the first one is just to remember to stay. The first one is by creating the several lists. And so we have one main list of all of the things that we want to accomplish. That would be cleaning the house. We want to go grocery shop when we need to wash the car. I have a client meeting that I need to set. I have my taxes to do or book work to do. Those are the main lists. So creating a main list of items that we want to do is the first step in being more efficient with your to-do list. The next step is breaking down our to-do list, and we break them down into weekly projects so that we have specific days that we can add into our list, and with some timing in there. And this is more so in tasks like major things that you have to do. You say that it's spring cleaning, and you're going to be going through your whole entire house. Well, to break these things down, I don't know about you, but I don't like to just take it and just wipe it all out in one day, because I still have other things in my life that I want to do to create that balance. And so if we break it down into weekly projects, into the most high impact that have to be done ASAP, and then to more and then breaking it down into more simple projects, like dividing it into 5 to 8 things throughout that week that you want to accomplish. And putting the most important things first, obviously, but making sure that they aren't going to be overwhelming and time consuming. If we said we're going to spring clean the house, that's overwhelming. But if we broke those things down into 5 to 8 different types of tasks, if we break it down into weekly projects with 5 to 8 different tasks, it starts to not seem so overwhelming, and it allows us still space to conduct other parts of our lives and create and maintain that balance in our lives with our other obligations, instead of, oh, I can't do anything this weekend because I'm going to be house cleaning. Well, it really doesn't have to be so overwhelming, and it's actually going to be more healthy with this type of approach. And so when we break these items and these tasks into 5 to 8 items in a weekly thing, putting the most important item first, it makes it making these very simple tasks. And by breaking down these larger tasks, and if I say this, instead of saying, well, we have to just totally clean out, let's use a master bathroom, for instance. There's a lot of different aspects probably to a master bathroom. You have the sinks, you have under the sink, you have drawers, a closet might be attached to it. You want, whatever your spring cleaning regimen is, are you going to, well, I'm going to wipe down the lights today, or I'm going to clean out just the drawers today, or I'm going to clean out under the sink today. Those are little tasks that we can break down, and it makes things so much easier. Even though you kind of want to wipe it all out in one day, if you don't have the time and you have a lot of responsibilities, by breaking it up this way, you're still accomplishing what you need to accomplish, but you're just doing it in smaller chunks. And by listing them that way, it becomes becomes a little more doable and a little more tolerable, instead of, oh my God, I'm going to be spending the next 4 hours or whatever time it takes to pull everything out of the vanity, wipe everything down, wipe everything off, throw away what I don't need, make a list of the things that I need to replenish. It makes it a lot simpler in this way of setting up these to-do lists. And one of the things that's really important is stay very specific with each task. In other words, if it's the kitchen that you're going to be working on, make sure you say, well, I'm going to clean out the refrigerator at this time, the refrigerator and the freezer. That's my task for now. Or I'm going to do all the lower cabinets in this area of my kitchen. That makes it much easier than saying, I'm going to just clean out all the kitchen cabinets today. That's a huge job. Being very specific with each task is really helpful. And include all the steps. Really write down, bullet point all the steps. I'm going to take out the dishes. I'm going to wipe the cabinets down. I'm going to put new liner in. Then I'm going to really look at the things in this cabinet. Do I need this? Have I used this? Do I want to give this away? Does it need to be replaced? Is it still functioning? Do I have all the parts to it? I mean, seriously, I have the blades to an electric knife. I have no idea where the electric knife is. I do remember a time I had the knife, but I didn't have the blades. Things like this, you just don't, if you don't need it, get rid of it. If it's causing you a headache, just get rid of it. And honestly, I don't use an electric knife. And hopefully somebody will use those blades because they can't find theirs. So it's really fun to just get in there, pull some things out, clean it out, and get rid of the things that you haven't used in however long it's been in your cabinet. And then there's also include all the steps that it's going to take. When you're, just like for instance, if even if it's not, I'm using the house as a good as an example, but what about if you're planning an event? If you're planning an event and you need to go pick up things that from the printers, say you had some menus printed because you have an event, a dinner event, or you're throwing a dinner party, or it's a wedding reception, and you're the one hosting it. You need to go to the printers and pick up printed menus or whatever the item may be. Be certain, as you're writing your list, to include the address of the place that you're going to be going. Because then it's not another step to say, oh, I have to do this. What did I do with the address? It makes it so much more efficient. What if you had phone calls to make? Write down, oh, I'm going to have to call this person on this day, and I'm going to go ahead and write down their number right here so that when you go to your to-do list, you have that information right at hand. Another thing that makes it really much easier when you are planning tasks and trying to organize your day. And you know, what about, most often there's those tasks that we avoid. I mean, I don't know about you, but my basement, I avoid that thing. I don't even want to go down there because I know that it's just a treacherous mess. There's stuff everywhere, not even things that all over mine. I know it needs to be cleaned out, but I've been putting it off because honestly, it just seems really incredibly overwhelming. As well as, you know, things that you need to do in your yard. I have a sprinkler that I need to fix, and I have hose rings that I need to replace because it's spraying water. If I said I'm going to replace the sprinkler head this day, and then the plastic rings to the hose on another day, which one's more of a priority? Probably the sprinkler head is more of a priority. So I'll put that down. Well, I accomplished that. And then perhaps the next day or the next week, I'm going to go ahead and tackle replacing the rings to the hose. And write that down on your to-do list when you go over to the hardware store. Or if you have errands to run, stop at the hardware store, pick up this, write it down on your to-do list, and be very efficient with those lists. Um, and then there's also when you're done, when you're creating these lists, if you set these lists out so that you can see them all the time. Now I'm not talking out for people that's like not like a decoration, but I'm saying tape it to the side of your refrigerator to remind you that this is something that you have set, a goal that you have set, even though it's a to-do list. These are things that you want to accomplish, and really try to create that space in your calendar. Everybody has like a day planner or a daily planner. Say, oh, from this time to this time, I'm going to work on a specific item on my to-do list. And some of these really to-do lists, if you have a full day, but you want to make sure that you have that balance, that you took care of some responsibilities or tackled some of these, put something simple on that list, like folding the basket of laundry or um, sweeping a floor, whatever it is. I'm going to spend 20 minutes cleaning out, whatever a task may be certain that you've broken it down so that some of these items are so small when you don't have a day that, or if you have a busy week, 1 week, but you still want to feel like you're creating that balance in your life, and that everything's being taken care of, especially your needs of the things that you want done for you in your own personal life. Have small little things that you can do to say, just to remind yourself that you are really important and that you take your own needs and your own desires into account. Most often we put other people's needs before our own. And it's good that we can have this, and I know that it doesn't sound like much fun, but it's still something that will weigh heavy on us if we don't feel like our life remains organized and productive. So if we tape these lists on our refrigerators or the back of somewhere where we can see them, tape it on a counter where no one can see it, put it on the screen of your computer or your smartphone or your iPad or whatever you use, just to keep a little reminder. And you mean obviously it has to be bigger than just a little icon, but just put your thing there, my to-do list, or my create balance. I name mine creating balance, so that I know that I'm creating this balance in my life to maintain all of my responsibilities, and that I'm aware of the importance of paying attention to every aspect of my life. We go to work, we have social engagements, we have a lot going on in our lives. And then we put things off, and we just need to feel that sense that we are taking care of ourselves and really engaging in our own personal needs, not just fun, but also with our responsibilities. The next thing that I found helpful to me is by clearing off time in my schedule. I'll put in, even if I only have maybe 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, I could probably clean out a drawer in my bathroom or organize something. Whatever it takes, move things around, wipe out your fridge, whatever, wipe off the shelves in your refrigerator, whatever it is, even if it's 30 minutes, you write it on your list and check it off. And you know that you are really making yourself and your needs a priority. And by doing so, by putting these lists obviously on our electronic device or our telephones, or hanging that, handwriting this list and setting it on your refrigerator, that's really big, because, and when you're done with each little task, you're going to check it off or cross it off or highlight it, however you do. But I highly recommend not throwing that list away. Really watch that list being checked off, because it will remind you of your accomplishments, and it will help encourage you to be more productive, because you're seeing that list become smaller and smaller. It's almost like saving. When you're younger, you save $25 a week, or 10% or 20% of your income, and it starts out small, but as you add to it, it gets to become bigger and bigger, and you start to feel better about what you're doing, and you're more driven to do more and to do more and to do more. It gives you a sense of accomplishment and a sense of productivity. So another way to stay really on target, um, with your life too, is not only to have these larger things that we want to accomplish, with our um, general list of things to do. But if you're like me and you don't have a list of exactly what you need to do that day, your day will get away from you. You know you're busy all day long, and you just don't know where the time went. And you sit down, you look around, and you don't really feel like you accomplished much. Creating a list of daily activities also helps with this. And I'm not saying if you have something that you need to do, spend the whole day doing one certain thing, because I've done that, and then you just get so burnt out that you don't even want to look at it again. I mean, the thought of even approaching that is just almost repulsive, and you get exhausted thinking about it. So break out little teeny sections of your schedule for specific time. I like to use 90 minutes. 60 doesn't seem like enough, and 2 hours seems like it's too long. An hour and a half. I will spend an hour and a half on this task, and when that hour and a half is up, be done. Just be done. And shift, if you still have stuff to do, shift it over to the next time slot that you have available, perhaps the next day or whenever it is. Shift it over to a time that you have open, and go on to the next thing, because even though you're still accomplishing pieces and segments here and there, you're not just doing one thing. You're accomplishing little parts of many things, and you start moving forward in all aspects of your life, not just one aspect of your life. So for instance, if you have a project that you're working on, and like this, I made my PDF. It's 17 pages long. It took me I spent 2 days working on this, just to put it together to make sure. No, actually, I think not this one. This one actually it only took me about an hour and a half to do. But say that this would have taken me a lot longer to do. I would have only spent 90 minutes on it, and then I would have moved on to something else through that day, because I have other things that I want to keep my life in balance. Otherwise, you're here with this task, and then you're here with this task, and this task isn't done, and you start to just get off balance. But by doing these simple 90-minute sections of designated time in your life for specific things, and if you're not used to it, try it. I mean, really write out. If you get up at 5:30 in the morning, or whatever time you get up, I get up about 5 or 5:30, and I will block off a certain amount of time for meditation. I block off a certain amount of time, and I'll write that in my schedule, because then I don't lollygag, I don't get distracted. I know that I have time limits, and I make sure that it's done. This is the time I use to eat breakfast and have coffee in the morning. This is the time that I use to shower and get dressed. I block off a certain amount of time for that. And then when my day starts at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, 60 minutes or 90-minute segments help keep your entire life in balance. So hopefully this will help you I'm going to review really quick, by creating a master list of larger accomplishments that you have to do over a period of time, and then breaking them down into weekly tasks above and beyond your other everyday responsibilities and blocking off that time in your schedule of 5 to 8 items in a week. Make sure some of them are simple and that they can be accomplished within that time period. Don't sit you know this week with just overwhelming amounts of hard things to do. Really start breaking it down so that some of these things are easier to accomplish, so you can check it off, so that you're not exhausting and overwhelming yourself. Is very, very important. So at the end of this video, I have created a thumbnail and I will attach it in the comment section. And what it is, and this is a PDF that will cover much of the things that I'm going to be talking about over the next 8 weeks. And it has in here, I'm going to just go ahead and it has the table of contents of everything that will be in here, but it'll have a to-do list and things that you need to do now and things that you can do later. And this would be a really good option to use for now, to write down the things that start your major list, things that you really have to do now, and then things that you can be putting off to do later. And then start breaking those items down over a week or a few weeks period of time will help you. Now, next Tuesday, I am going to be talking about sleeping and our daily routines. We have sleeping routines and sometimes they get distracted. So over the next 8 weeks, we're going to be talking about to-do lists, to do and not to do, which we did tonight. We're going to be talking about our daily schedule, especially if you have trouble sleeping at night because your mind's racing. We're going to be discussing that as well. And we're also going to be talking about your self routine, your sleep routine, and start some journaling. Doing some gratitude journaling is going to be something we're going to be talking about. Journaling our thoughts, we're going to be discussing that. Journaling what we were feeling, just to get more in touch with who we are. We're going to be writing some really fun letters. Then we're going to start learning. I'm going to talk about setting intentions for the things that you do on a regular basis. Having an intention before you walk into situations, and how that can really help boost your productivity and have better outcomes with your interactions throughout the day. And then finally, on the 8th week, we're going to be talking about affirmations and how affirmations can help you through living a more healthy lifestyle and production. I hope these tips help you, and have a great evening. I'm glad you joined me. I'm again Lesley Pazdzioch. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your holiday.